watching Parker Success Academy with Dr. William E. Morgan.
Hello, I'm Dr. William E. Morgan, president of Parker University, and this is Parker Success Academy, where we explore models of business success in chiropractic practices. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Nichelle Gurule. Nichelle, welcome to Parker Success Academy.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice?
Yeah, so I practice out of Colorado. I'm right outside of Boulder, for those who know that area. And I am a mom of three, which is my most valued role in life, which I have a 5-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and a 6-month-old. So definitely busy, but really adore it. My husband and I practice together. We both started our practice together. While we're both chiropractors, we actually met at the University of Colorado at Boulder. We had the same major there. And I do all women's health and kids, and he kind of does everything else.
Nice. So what's a fun fact about you? Something that's interesting that most people wouldn't know about?
So when I was in undergrad, I actually was very fortunate to be able to do a study abroad trip called Semester at Sea, which is, everyone has different trips that they go on, but my cruise ship got to circumnavigate the entire globe. So we started in one spot and literally ended up in the same spot. Went to 14 countries within that period of time. And the funniest but also coolest place we went was Beijing and the Great Wall of China. And I always like to tell people that because of how the ruins are, because it's not completely perfect, I not only hiked it for a day, but I also slept in one of the watchtowers. And then we all had, because we were in college, a bunch of drinks and probably not the best vodka. So we all were then also throwing up off the Great Wall of China.
Thanks for sharing that. And so can you explain your business model to us? How does your business work?
So a little different than a lot of other chiropractors out there in that we not only are cash-based, but that we also have longer appointment times. And that's because we incorporate so much movement and rehab into our sessions. So for instance, our new patient appointment's an hour long. We have rehab sessions that might be 45 minutes. And then all of our follow-ups are 20 to 30 minutes. So whether it's soft tissue work, I don't do dry needling, but my husband does, or we're doing rehab work in addition to the adjustment, there's always time to be educating them and giving them more. And so we have longer appointment times, which makes us cash-based. And then I am really the one who, in the practice, does all of the women's health. So pregnancy, postpartum, kids, all that stuff. And then I joke my husband does everything else.
And you've lectured for Parker seminars on postpartum and also prenatal. So thank you for that. Other than chiropractic, you've already answered this partially. Are there any additional therapies or professions that you have in your practice?
Yeah, so in our practice right now, it's changed a little bit because of COVID and just certain people not being able to continue to rent, but we've had pelvic floor PT, massage, we have a psychiatrist, and then we also have a therapist. And all of those people are actually really geared towards women's health more so. So they'll all treat anybody, but they're really geared towards more the portion of what I do in the practice.
So another little known fact is that you did rotations at Bethesda Naval Hospital. Was it Bethesda Naval Hospital, or have we converted to Walter Reed when you spent time with me?
Walter Reed.
Okay, so you were one of the first chiropractic students to rotate through Walter Reed. And of course, you spent 6 months there where you adjusted all these wounded warriors and a lot of our vets there. I think you also did some rotations around some of the rest of the hospital as well with the medical residents as well. Did you spend time in with the pelvic floor PT at our hospital?
I actually talk about that all the time because I did. And that's actually where I first learned about it. And it's now I work alongside pelvic floor PTs every day and we do care back and forth. And yeah.
There's places where physical therapists and chiropractors kind of conflict, but I'm convinced that having a good pelvic floor PT is a great thing. For me, I like to adjust my patients. I don't do pelvic floor rehab, and I definitely would want to refer to a physical therapist for that care. So moving on, what's the definition you would have for success?
That's a tough one. I mean, really for me and like when I think of success, I also think of like, where do I want to be when I'm older and talking about my life and what to me would be like, wow, I'm proud of it. And for me, truly it is making a difference, being a leader, making a change and making an impact. And who that's to and who it's for is going to vary. And for where I feel like it's at right now, success to me is really making a difference in the women's life that I treat. Because this is a crazy time in our life when we go through pregnancy, postpartum, and raising kids. And to be able to make a difference with those people or to be able to educate other clinicians on how to treat this population, that to me is making a difference. And that when I'm older and gray and talking to my grandkids, That's what I want to be able to say, is that I've made a difference, and that is success to me. Obviously, having money is helpful, but I mean, feeling needed and that you accomplish your life goal is also.
Well, I've always said that if you provide value, money follows value. You provide the value, the money will come. And so the first step is make sure that what you have has value. And I agree, as a chiropractor, the greatest success, the things I would ascribe to success would be the people whose lives we've touched, the people you gave their life back to them. And literally that you've made all the difference in the world. And, as you get, I'm that person you talked about, the old gray looking back on their life. But when there's little girls that you used to adjust, that later on you get invitations to their wedding because you're such a part of their life. Those things like that really get you. Or the wounded warriors who come back and thank you. I just had somebody contacted me just 2 days ago that I hadn't seen for probably 10 or 15 years, wounded in combat. Thanks, Doc, for making a difference in my life. So with success, I like to tend to go towards character development and more fulfilling things like you do. I know most people who are successful are big readers. Is there a book that you would recommend to our audience?
That's so tough, because you're right. I make a goal of reading like 24 books a year if I can. And I like to vary it up between business and development and kids and all this stuff. So may not go down the realm of necessarily business and things like that. But I love the book Parenting with Love and Logic. And because I'm in the middle of that's who I treat and that's where I'm at in my life, I've also seen it really play out into just how to interact with anybody. So it's obviously for parenting, but what I love about it is it's also helped me with my pediatric patients, because there's little things like I've had one of my grad school girlfriends, she was talking to me and she's like, I do not know what to do. These kids in my office want to pull off the things off the wall, and I don't want to correct them because their parents are right there. I don't even know what to do. I'm like, oh my goodness, you should read Parenting with Love and Logic, because you just say, oh, I'm sorry, that's something that needs to stay on the wall. In the Parenting Love with Logic, you give them 2 different choices. So you say, would you like to play with the coloring book instead, or would you like to play with the toys over here? So now you don't seem like a jerk who's saying, don't touch that. You're saying, oh, that's special. Now you have 2 options. So while that book seems like a little like, well, who is this for? Because it's not business. It really has a lot of life lessons in it. So if anybody out there is a parent, it's great. And even if you're working with kids in your office, it's a good book.
No, very good. Thank you very much. So in your journey, what's been like at the low point? Was there a dark period in your practice, or since you started chiropractic, that kind of was your worst moment?
Well, yeah, actually. So my husband and I found out we were pregnant with our first kiddo, like right as we signed the lease to our first space. We'd moved from California out to start our own practice, and it was like, cool. That wasn't the worst part. But we ended up being in a space where we were inside of a gym, and we started being really successful. We started building our practice, and then the owners of the gym really wanted us to be their chiropractors. Like, they wanted to have us work for them, not be independent contractors renting a room. And we were really confused by that, because the whole time we were like, we're trying to grow our own practice. Yeah. So we were kind of confused, and they brought that to us, and we were like, well, no, thank you, but we actually want to stay in our own practice and keep doing what we're doing. And so at the time, because we had just started out, we were young parents, we were also coaching. So he was CrossFit coaching like 17 classes. I was teaching a postpartum mom fit class, teaching on like 4 classes. So a big part of our income was classes. And they were like, your coaching job is done. And they gave us 2 weeks to get out. And we were like, okay. Damn. And it was weird because they were friends too, or they felt like friends. And so to be kicked out, and we're like, well, crap, what are we going to do? But the coolest thing about that, because it really was a terrible moment, we were about to leave on family vacation, is it opened up doors to the practice we're in now, or the space we're in now. And we grew, I don't know, tenfold. I mean, we exponentially grew once we were out of the gym.
Wow. Well, you never underestimate the importance of dead presidents to people when in relationships. That sometimes, and I've seen it, and people somehow justify in their heart that it's okay because there's dead presidents involved to renege on a deal. And so it's be very defined in how you move forward. And also, once people see you making money in their practice, and I've seen this a lot with people who have, what do you call this, associates. So everybody wants an associate, but if an associate comes into the practice and now the associate is doing very well, maybe the patients prefer to go to the associate, the owner, the doctor, It's human nature. They almost, instead of liking that, they're jealous and they're angry with the person they hired to be liked by the patients. And I've seen it time and time again. They end up firing the person because they were more popular than they were. It's like, would you want to hire somebody who the patients didn't like? So you want to make sure with those relationships, certainly if you're an associate, you go forward like, okay, if I do well, you're going to like that, right? And if the patients prefer to see me, that means you get to go golfing on Wednesdays, and basically you can hire more associates. So it sounds like that may have been the pivotal moment, but was there a pivotal moment in your journey that you can identify?
In terms of career-wise, where I've gone, because sports chiropractic got pushed my way a lot because I liked athletics. I got a lot of phenomenal opportunities while I was in school. In graduate school, I got a lot of phenomenal opportunities with you even. And I like sports, but it wasn't my passion. And so really the pivotal moment in my career was me switching over to women and family. And that really truly started when I was pregnant and had my first kiddo. That's really when I became truly passionate about that.
So when you served at Walter Reed, was it during football season?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. So you and I went down and took care of the Naval Academy football team, and I think anybody, and for that we were adjusting like mad at that. at that, we'd have, in the middle of the week we'd go down and you're adjusting these midshipmen, and they all want to be adjusted, and a lot of foot adjusting, a lot of extremity adjusting, and then also right before the game and during the game. So what advice would you give a younger version of yourself as you graduate from college?
Like undergrad or graduate college?
Oh, chiropractic college.
Oh, chiropractic college. Oh, man.
So before we go there, what was your undergrad degree in?
Integrated physiology and psychology, and then I did a minor in dance just for fun.
Oh, wow. So what was Antonio's major?
Integrated physiology. That's how we met.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Let's see. What would it be? You don't have to have the plan entirely in front of you. Like, I feel like even with undergrad, it was like, I'm going to do this. And then after chiropractic school, I'm going to do this and going to do this. And it was very easy for me to try to lay things out. And I feel like the less I've laid them out perfectly, they just kind of align where they want to go. So the less pressure on myself, because I was valedictorian with straight A's, and I put so much pressure on myself to get things done and be places. So I don't want to say I didn't want to get straight A's again or do well, because it brought up other opportunities, but to not feel the pressure of like feeling to need to have a plan.
For me, I would have told my 1985 self to buy Apple stock, but
fair enough, yeah.
So chiropractic marketing and advertising to patients has been a big topic. What tips would you give based upon your practice? What recommendations for marketing and advertising would you provide to the audience?
I've been chatting a lot with a lot of my patients who are high up in fields with that about, where do I get my patients and where do I want to get them? And 90% of my practice is referral based. The doulas, the midwives, the pediatric dentists, because there's a lot of tethered oral ties that get revised, and I work on babies. And I would say that the best thing that I've done for my practice is having really authentic, true conversations with these different professionals over coffee and chatting with them, not necessarily about just what they do, but hey, what's your family like? What do you do for fun? And really just having a good hour-long chat. And then at the end, I sneak in what I do, and I tell them about me, but I just focus on them because I talk a lot, and my personality can tend to take over conversations. So I like to have a coffee date with them, really nourish the relationship by getting to know them. Then I let them know what I do. And then I just keep that relationship going. So I send them a tank top if I make a new one, or I've made them biscottis, or I do integrated. This is another one, making sure that we're always having integrated care. So if I'm working on a baby and the baby's getting a tongue tie revised and they have a lactation consultant, we're all on an email together. That alone is extra contact points in the day where they hear my name or they hear me responding and knowing what I'm doing, which in and of itself, them knowing what I do is important, right? So really building true, authentic relationships over tea, coffee, whatever it is. I know with COVID, it's kind of harder to do in-person stuff, but that's really where, when I started doing that, exponentially grew.
I agree. Relationships, and also that trust, but also patients love to hear that the doctors are communicating. If you're, wouldn't you love to hear that if you've got a particular healthcare issue, that your chiropractor's talking to the person who's going to take care of your daughter's tongue tie or the lactation specialist and working together synergistically. So is there anything that keeps you up at night that you worry about?
I was like my kids keep me up at night, but then I'm worried about, I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that the student loans that I have definitely have been a burden on me. And I have worked really hard at letting that go and just making a plan of going forward, because you can't go to the past and change things. And I know that I'm not alone. I have a lot of grad school girlfriends who are in the same exact position. My husband and I are both in the exact same position, so we're double timing it with the loans. But that is actually something that really has challenged me through the course of my early career, is just knowing the student loans that I have, and then knowing where should I go work-wise or career-wise to try to balance that out.
And with it is, for us, it's like, having a expensive education is worth it if you're making good money to pay it off. So one of the things we're looking at here is how can we reduce student indebtedness? And the big thing I found, it's the length of the program, because you have 3, and for us it's like almost 3.5 years at the chiropractic program that you have living expenses for. So we're looking at other ways to attenuate this. And one of the things we've looked at is, well, what if we put the first year online? All the didactic comes up. You can stay at home, maybe not even have to take loans. Then you come here and it's heavy duty 1 year, lots of adjusting, lots of hands-on. And then we put you into something like our Synapse, a profitable clinic where possibly we could even pay you. So we're working. I mean, my staff knows, when I get distracted on things, our strategic plan is to save chiropractic in perpetuity, to reduce student indebtedness. And the other thing that we're doing is we're advertising for chiropractic in areas where our alumni live.
Awesome.
So we're taking our money to make sure we want more chiropractic patients to go to our alumni to help with that
You're
burden.
probably already doing it, because knowing you probably are on it in 20 million different ways. But in the education that I received, I didn't get a lot on business, and yet I run my own business. And a lot of chiropractors run their own business. And so it's like I have to learn something all on my own, which is fine. But if we had a little bit of a better program for business, it'd be awesome.
Well, if only someone would make a series of classes online, possibly 30 minutes at a whack, where they interview successful business people and pick their minds on how they run their business. If only somebody would do that, maybe we could get the word out about how to run successful practices.
Awesome. Maybe somebody should do that.
That's why you're here. So and the deal is, and we're having a variety of them, because there's straight chiropractic, where you just hands only, spine only, to rehab, to various other degrees of adjustments. What's funny to me is I look at some people that purport to be totally straight, and they're doing stem cell and IV therapy, and I'm like, okay, you can do that. It's that's supporting the body. Of course, our ultimate premise of chiropractic is to remove barriers to good health. So anyway, I digress. But we at Parker frequently talk about the 10X concept, something that you did in your business that had a 10-time return on your investment or effort.
Oh man, I feel like I don't want to repeat myself, but I feel like it has to go back to those connections that I made with the people from so I treat women and kids. So finding those key decision makers in those fields. So the midwives, the doulas, the childbirth educators, those connections that I made, I've met with them. Maybe a midwife that's at a local hospital, I've met with her twice over the past 5 years, and she probably sends me a new patient 3 times a week. That's exponential. So that
new patient 3 times. So, well, I tell people, if you were to make friends, go out and make friends with 10 medical doctors. 10 medical doctors that refer you 1 patient a month. You're about made with that.
Yeah.
If you've got 10 new patients coming, you're going to get patients from other places, but just 1 new patient from 10 medical doctors, I should say, it could be PAs, nurse practitioners, PTs, but those are golden. And by the way, don't just rely on one person. You need to have a diversification, because like you found out, if you have a relationship that goes sour, 100% of your business is now, you're scrambling.
That's a really good point. And that's what I've worked on, is like, who is surrounding what I do? And I have a list of probably 20 different professionals. So you're right. And then I probably have 3 within each one.
So if we were to ask you, what is your superpower, what would you tell us?
Oh man, that's tough. I'd say the ability to win anybody over. So my challenge whenever there's a patient who seems grumpy is I want to win them over. Like, they don't have to like me amazingly, but I want to make their day better, or have them feel like they're doing great. Or if I'm interacting with somebody who seems like kind of grumpy somewhere, my superpower is winning them over, some way or another.
So what if they don't want Miss Sunshine in their life?
They all do.
No, some people like being grumpy. And
they do.
That's something I've learned too, is some people like being grumpy and they enjoy it. So let them be grumpy. Where do you see chiropractic going in the next 5 years?
I see it increasing in terms of more people seeing chiropractors, because I've already seen that. When I first started chiropractic school and I'd be flying home from California to Colorado, I'd say I was a chiropractor and people would be like, oh, cool. And then over the course of being in school and being out, I hear people be like, oh, cool, I love my chiropractor. So I see that changing and that there's more people who utilize our services. And I see it being something that becomes more research-based. I see chiropractors going beyond, I don't think all will change, but I see there being more rehab components to it, just additional therapies beyond solely adjusting, which nothing's wrong with solely adjusting, but I see more chiropractors doing more of a variety, but absolutely more research. I think we'll get more of that, and I think that'll make us even more expansive across the population, because the more we can prove it.
Be careful about the proving. So we research, and we've got a pretty rigorous chiropractic research program here. The trouble, with research, people get angry. If you ask the question, we all must be willing to live with the answer. Yes. And to be authentic and be someone who's trustworthy. If you research something and go, you know what, we don't have the evidence to prove that, to be honest with it. And continue to research, don't leave it at that. But if somebody asks, can you help a kid with this problem? Well, actually, there's not a lot of research to support it, but we could do a trial of treatment. A trial of treatment is totally acceptable, even if there's a lack of research. But for us, we want to have research. And so if we have research and it actually doesn't substantiate our theory, and we're honest about it, but we share other research that does, it's going to elevate the value of this because we're worthy of trust. I get people, they don't understand that it's not always, we will not always have research that comes our way, that supports what we do.
Absolutely.
And they get angry at the messenger and sorry, if it's good science, it's good science. And then there's irreputable, journals out there that'll publish any tripe that supports us, and that makes us look bad. And at Walter Reed, people would, medical doctors, well, what about this crap research study that we see here? It's like, I'm not defending that journal. I'll go to JPT or our journal, which is a Journal of Contemporary Chiropractic. Those are good journals. So moving on. So what's one takeaway you'd like to leave our audience with, and what's your contact information?
One takeaway. Takeaway for me in terms of career-wise that I would love to impart on people is always keep learning. Definitely have learned that from you. When I worked with you at Walter Reed, you'd be up at 4 a.m. Doing stuff and researching, and it's amazing. And so you've definitely been a mentor at that, but always keep learning, because I think that's a sign of a good provider, a good person in general, who's always wanting to be better, learn more and do more, and never be just satisfied with what you know. Keep just in all avenues of life, not just with chiropractic, but with anything that you're doing in love. If you want to learn about fly fishing, learn more. It just makes your brain keep growing and keeps you young. And then my contact information is, the biggest thing is Gaia Health. So Instagram, my handle is Gaia Health. Same thing on Facebook. I've started Gaia Health Academy, which is my goal to making women's and family health education more out there for clinicians and laymen. So you can find me with Gaia Health Academy as well. And then, that's probably the easiest way, is just on social media. But
well, Dr. Gurule, thank you so much for visiting us today, and thank you, the home audience, for coming to Parker Success Academy. Well, until next time, have a great day, and thank you again.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks for watching another episode of Parker Success Academy with Dr. William E. Morgan.